Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, the basketball edition. Welcome back to those who are part of the channel or have been here before, and welcome for the first time those who have yet to enjoy the content on the Adrienne Ross Show. Encourage all of you to hit the subscribe button. Much appreciated. Hey, first of all, let me say thank you to those who hung out with us for the live. We went live for the second half of the Minnesota Lynx versus the Connecticut Sun game, in which the Connecticut Sun was sent packing. It seemed like we had a consensus. Nobody in our live wanted the Connecticut Sun to win. At least I didn't see any comments. It's not so much that we love Minnesota Lynx or that we love, for sure, Coach Shell Reeve. No, not that. But at least we kind of like Nafisa Collier. She's extremely likable. And even if she were not, well, Connecticut Sun, not likable. And so that outweighs anything. So now the Minnesota Lynx will take on the New York Liberty for the championship. Best of 5 series. Let's see how that turns out. For now, I have to weigh in on something. I released a video to my Legend and GOAT members a few hours ago, in which I took on a concern that I've heard today, and that is after the new Indiana Fever president, Kelly Krauskopf, had a press conference, I noticed that some people were a little bit disheartened because they felt like their idea, their hopes, and their dreams that Christie Sides would go bye-bye were dashed. They felt, based on the comments that the president made, that Christie Sides was going to be in here, at least for another year. So I was catching wind of that. And I watched that portion, in addition to other portions of the interview, or rather I should say the press conference, and I wanted to give my thoughts. So I did a video specifically exclusive to those levels of members to the channel. And I wanted to hear what they thought. And I've read their comments now, and I shared with them some of my thoughts. And I said, I'm going to say more in a video to everyone. And that brings me here right now. I got to tell you, I think you should take heart, because I did not read that as many people did. I still say what I said before. I said earlier that Lynn Dunn would go, and she went. And as I said, I'm batting 1,000, because that's not the only thing I've gotten right. But I still think I'm batting 1,000, because I still believe, from what I saw of how President Krauskopf answered that question, I still say Christie Sides is not coaching this team next year. Some of you guys, you gotta go deeper. You gotta look deeper. So let's watch that portion, that question about Christie Sides, and then we'll break it down. Here it is.
Obviously, you mentioned evaluating everything, just kind of looking back on this season, last season, kind of from across the street. Just how would you evaluate Christie Sides and kind of her performance as a first-time head coach so far?
Yeah. I mean, what a roller coaster ride for her. I was smart enough to know that the schedule was stacked against a young team early in the season, and the way that they weathered the storm, got into a groove, after the Olympic break. I mean, I think she finished 18-12, after those first 10 games, and then of course went 7-4 in the last 11, and 3 of those losses were against teams in the finals. So for a young team to make that kind of progress, I mean, it's hard to not be impressed. I think the outside noise, what she had to endure as a coach, and what they had to endure as a staff to keep that team focused and together. I mean, it takes time. It took a long time for teams that I've had to gel and to get together. I mean, years. It doesn't happen in 4 months. It happened. It takes a few years. So I was really impressed with the progress that they made and how, Christie is a resilient leader. She's a culture builder. I know just that she's got that kind of, stamina to stick to it and stick to her plan. And she's a good person and she's a great leader. And I was impressed with the way they finished.
All right, so there it is. It's making the rounds, and like I said, people are ready to faint. They're like, I can't believe this. What is going on? Well, I want to take you through it again, but this time I want to just stop and break it down. But before I do, let me say this. I don't see anything there that tells me that this president is invested in Christie Sides, that this president is saying that Christie Sides is going to be there, that she's praising Christie Sides to the point of saying there's no way I'm going to get rid of her. No, I don't believe she's saying that at all. And I'm going to start, before I even play that back and break it down, I want to show you another portion of that interview in which she says this after getting this question.
What do you want to reestablish with this franchise in terms of culture? And what have been some of the big picture observations that you've been able to evaluate over the last couple of weeks in particular?
Well, I have high expectations, and I have high expectations first of myself, and then I have that of our staff and of our team. So number one, this is a place where players can come and get better and be surrounded by an organization that supports you, where they're going to have everything they need to be successful. So if you have the right DNA and you love the game and you love to compete, then you're going to be a great fit, with this team, because we're about winning. I mean, this is a winning franchise. Did
you hear what she said? They're about winning. And she has high expectations of herself, but not just herself, of her staff. And the players in this organization are going to have everything they need to be successful. And so if that is in your DNA, to compete and to win, and if you can provide the best opportunity possible for this organization to get back to what is in its DNA, then you'll be welcome here. Now, this woman has quite the resume, quite the impressive resume. They didn't bring her in to water the flowers, okay? To water the plants. She came in to shake things up. And we said that when Lynn Dunn, which I said she was going to go, she's going to be starting the 28th. She's going to be a senior advisor. She's not going to be the GM. You don't bring someone in from the top if you plan to just play games. She just said, if you want to play in this organization, if you want to be a part of this organization, look, I have high expectations of myself and my staff, and this team will have everything they need to be successful. This woman knows the game. She knows success. She knows what it takes. She's telling you it's in her DNA. You don't think she recognizes that Christie Sides doesn't fit that bill? You don't think she recognizes that? She recognizes that. And as we're going to see in a moment, as you just heard, yeah, she's a great person. She says Christie Sides is a good person. That's great. But again, it's not just about being a good person. It's about putting things in place so that the DNA of this team can be manifested. That's the point. And so now let's go through what she said, and we're going to pick it apart a little bit, because I still maintain that Christie Sides will not be there. And I'm not saying I want Christie Sides to lose her job. That's not what this is about at all. But this is basketball, and it's a business. And so from evaluating basketball and the business, I'm telling you that I still say I'm batting 1,000 and that Christie Sides will not be the head coach come next season. So let's go back to it. I'll just play it and I'll stop periodically and make some comments.
Yeah, I mean, what a roller coaster ride for her. I was smart enough to know that the schedule was stacked against a young team early.
Okay, first of all, she's asked a question about evaluating Christie Sides' first season. What does she do? Right away, she sort of hesitates. Yeah, I mean, everything was stacked against her. So already she's apologetic about Christie Sides, the roller coaster. She didn't start with, I'm absolutely thrilled with how Christie Sides conducted herself with this team. That's where you would start naturally if you were intending to continue on the road you're on. But instead, she starts off apologizing. She starts off by saying, it's a roller coaster. We had a tough schedule. In other words, I understand that it wasn't ideal because there's a but coming.
Season and the way that they weathered the storm, got into a groove, after the Olympic break. I mean, I think she finished 18-12, after those first 10 games, and then of course went 7-4 in the last 11, and 3 of those losses were against teams in the finals. So for a young team to make that kind of progress, I mean, it's hard to not be impressed. I think the outside noise, what she had to
Still apologizing for a young team to do that. It's hard not to be impressed. Talking about the team, not necessarily talking about Christie Sides, but let's continue.
endure as a coach and what they had to endure as a staff to keep that team focused and together. I mean, it takes time. It took a long time for teams that I've had to gel and to get together. I mean, years, it doesn't.
Right. So here a lot of people are thinking, oh my goodness, she said it takes time. That means she's going to give Christie's time. I don't think that's what she's saying. I think, again, she's still coming across as it was a tough season. It was a tough schedule. It was a roller coaster, but you got to be impressed with how they turned around. And, it wasn't easy. We understand that it wasn't easy. We understand that it takes time and it takes years. It's not the same as saying, I'm going to give her those years. Why? Because it's in their DNA to have success. And she already said, I am going to make sure that these players have what they need to be successful. So here is, to me, her way of saying, we appreciate what Christie Sides has done. We understand that you need more time to do it, but I don't think that means she's going to be given the time to do it. Why? Because the time is now.
In 4 months, it happened. It takes a few years. So I was really impressed with the progress that they made and how, Christie is a resilient leader. She's a culture builder. I know just that she's got that kind of, stamina to stick to it and stick to her plan. And
yeah, she's resilient. In other words, she'll be fine. she'll be fine. She's done a great job. She's got nothing to hang her head about. She's gonna be okay. She's resilient. She's trying to find the words to praise Christie Sides. She's got what it takes to be resilient, to bounce back, to all this stuff. And so I see this as her giving praise to Christie Sides. She'll be fine. She's got a plan to coach. Yeah, she'll stick to it. Those are positive things. Doesn't work for this team the way they need it to work, but she's publicly acknowledging the good that Christie Sides has.
She's a good person and she's a great leader. And
she's a good person. When they start pulling out the good person, he's a good person. It's like when you want to break up with somebody, you're a good person and everything. It's not about you not being a good person. You're just a wonderful person. It's just that we just don't connect like we need to connect. We don't mesh right. But you're such a good person.
She's a good person and she's a great leader. And I was impressed with the way they finished.
This is what I have to say to you guys. You guys who are saying, oh my goodness, Christie Sides is staying. Does that sound like the answer to a question about evaluating Christie's first season? Does that sound a president who's just come in, who's telling you the DNA is to win, who's telling you that they're going to have all the pieces they need, and now she's evaluating the last coach, the current coach, I should say, and that's what she says. She doesn't say, We're absolutely pleased with what happened, and we're looking forward to building with Christie Sides, in which she was resilient, in which they started off with a really tough schedule, in which there was a roller coaster. Does she say with any kind of certainty at all that, yeah, and we're going to continue with her? Why wouldn't you? If this is your coach, why wouldn't you? She had no problem. For those of you who've seen the whole thing, she had no problem saying what she had to say about Caitlin Clark. She had no problem owning Caitlin Clark as part of their team. She had no problem owning Aaliyah Boston. She talked about 2 rookies of the year. She had no problem talking about Kelsey Mitchell and the veteran leadership she brought to this team. She had no problem talking about them, particularly Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. And I think that's because things are up in the air with Kelsey. So she didn't say, she said, we've got 2, probably 3, however she used it, rocks that we can count on. But things are up in the air with Kelsey, so she's like 2, probably 3. But she had no problem making it plain that we're gonna build around Caitlin Clark, and everybody who loves the game of basketball ought to want to play with Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's just common sense, right? She pointed that out, which is a no-brainer, of course, right? It is a no-brainer. And Aaliyah Boston. So what I'm saying is that when you are in with someone and you know that you're going to have them in with you, you come across a little bit differently. You don't start off apologetically. What do you think of her first season? She started off by saying, well, she had a hard time. It was rough. We understand. We get it. But she's a good person. And I'm impressed about what she did. And she should be. But by saying that she's impressed doesn't mean that she intends to do this again. I'm telling you that if you are trying to do something new, or maybe even return to who you really are on the inside, what is expected of the Indiana Fever, the winning nature, the winning culture, and you want to have all the pieces in place. This woman knows that Christie Sides is not, as far as a head coach, I don't doubt she's a good person either. I saw growth in Christie Sides. Even if it was just acknowledging that I got to back out, got to back up, and allow them to play to their strengths, right? So there was growth in Christie Sides, but when you're going to another level, and this woman knows it better than the rest of us even, you can't rock with Christie Sides as the head coach for the next level. Lynn Dunn is gone. When they find a new coach to replace Christie Sides, she will be gone. I wish her nothing but the best. Like I said, this is not about, gloating about her being gone. I take no pleasure in any of that. But when you have a generational talent and you have a moment in time, you have to do what you have to do to get back to winning. And she's saying, I appreciate what Christie Sides has done. She's done a lot. She had a lot stacked against her. It takes more time, but they're not going to give it a time. So I think you should take heart. And if you don't, watch it again if you need to watch it again. This woman is not saying that Christie Sides is here to stay. I'm batting 1,000. It's going to continue. All right. Now, you can tell me I'm wrong if you find out I'm wrong. But the thing is, I'm right until the new season starts and Christie Sides is there. But that's not going to happen. Once again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please smash the subscribe button. Please like also and comment and, chop it up with one another. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.